Phoenix Home Care and Hospice. I choose Phoenix.
Hello and welcome to Why It Matters, a video series brought to you by Phoenix Home Care and Hospice, where we celebrate the moments that matter most in life. I am very honored to have with me today Tom Hilmes. Tom is the chairman of the American Heart Association Heart Walk, and he's also on the executive staff of SRC. Tom, welcome.
Thank you, Terry. Glad to be here. Really glad to have the opportunity to come and talk with you guys today and be part of this series.
Well, we're so glad you're here. I know, because I've heard your story from you, that the American Heart Association is a personal passion of yours, and it is your own personal quest that got you involved with the American Heart Association.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, that's the one thing that since I've been involved with the American Heart Association, I realized that so many people have stories regarding cardiovascular health and how it's impacted their families, that and sometimes they don't even realize it until you start talking with them about it.
Yeah.
Understand that almost everyone has a story, and it really comes back to why cardiovascular health is so important.
You know, you said everyone has a story. I am amazed at the stats regarding cardiovascular disease and how many people it affects. I know you've got some stats to share with us.
Oh, sure. I think it's important that everybody realize the first way we do better in our fight against cardiovascular health is to understand the challenges. 800,000 people a year are affected by a cardiovascular or health incident. That's huge. That's 1 in 3. In terms of a year, and that's really just too much. As a matter of fact, a stroke kills someone every 4 minutes in our country, and on top of that, every 40 seconds, an American is going to have a heart attack.
You know, you could sit here and you could listen to that. You know, 1 in 3, every 40 seconds, and you could say, "Oh my gosh," you know, that's kind of depressing, honestly. But the reality is there's good news associated with that.
Well, there is good news, and that's what I've learned too, and I think it's really what we want to get out, and I think that's really the Heart Association's mission, is to make sure everybody knows that 80% of these situations are preventable. And that's
that's what I want to hear.
Well, that's that's the good news, that they are preventable. I guess the bad news is that to this day, most of us still aren't hearing that message. So that's why the work that the American Heart Association does through events like the American Heart Walk are so important, because I think if people knew what the risks were and knew how easy it was to really make those changes so that you can only have a long but healthy life.
So if I want to prevent, heart disease is actually in my family. So if I want to prevent heart disease in my own life and maybe my children's life, my husband's life, what are some changes that I could make that the Heart Association would say, hey, these are the things we should be doing?
Oh, well, the first thing that anyone's going to know is it's about eating smart.
Okay.
We have more food options today in our country and in our neighborhoods than we probably ever had before. But it is still difficult to make those right choices. And really today, even if you are trying to make the right choices, it can be confusing. But I mean, some of the first things in terms of eating smart is read those labels. My gosh, there's so much information on those. Start talking about a plan to where your issues are, but it's also the basic stuff that our mom and dads taught us is, you know, eat reasonable portions,
right.
Eat consistently, and eat a good mix. They talk about eating the rainbow, eating all the colors. That's so important. Those are things that maybe we're not used to doing, but certainly some small shifts in your eating behaviors can have a dramatic impact on your health. And I'm really sitting here as an example of that today.
Well, that's good. Did you have a good support network, a good peer-to-peer support network when you began your own life changes?
We're pretty competitive at SRC.
Yeah.
We'll bet, we'll compete with anybody, almost about anything. So we turned that ability into something good. We all looked at each other and said, we're all too heavy right now, collectively. I won't name the names in the room,
Sure.
but we certainly all were. And true to nature, we all put money down and said, you know what, we're all going to throw money in a pot, and we're going to go for 3 months and see who can change their overall weight the most in 3 months. That's not the most healthy way to start a health regime,
got you started.
but it gets the ball rolling. And we did that for 3 months, and I let my $100 go away because I came in second.
Wow.
But it was so impactful about what the 20 people that get into that first round that really just happened as a bet, you know, knowing that we wanted to improve what was going on. We made so much of a splash inside the company that we came back in a couple months later and we opened it up as what we call a mini game inside the company. So we set up for every employee in the company could throw in for $20. We actually took that seed money from that first pot and threw it into a fund to help award the company, everybody that participated, but we had over 400 employees sign up for this. But this is the best part. In 3 months, collectively, SRC lost 3,800 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Now, I know that some of the guidance and some of the tips you got for healthy eating and all that came from the American Heart Association. What else does the American Heart Association do? What are some of the things we look to them for help?
You know, I think when you think about what the AHA does, the first thing I said is awareness, and all those menu guides I was talking about, eating the rainbow and how you should eat, controlling your portions and things of that nature. I went straight to the American Heart Association's website when we started the contest and started looking into it. Actually, collectively, me and my family did together, because once again, you're more effective when you make lifestyle changes if you do it with a support group, whether it's your family or in my case your co-workers or both. But you know, get everybody to hold you accountable. But the American Heart Association was great about what you eat, about being more active, and the kind of things you need to be thinking about in terms of exercise and really kind of setting up that whole plan. But those are the big things I think the American Heart Association does, but they also do some great things in terms of government advocacy. I mentioned earlier about there's so many eating choices today, it's difficult to know what's what a good choice is. Today when you go into a restaurant, most restaurants, you get the menu out and you've got a calorie count there. And if you are in a contest or really just trying to make those changes long term, and you're doing the math every day, which for me it's about doing the math and keeping score where we're at and where we're trying to get and how fast it's safe to get there, you know, and all those healthy things. But just seeing the menu options and knowing that a burger and fries is 1,100 calories. That more than anything else.
It's right there.
Yeah, right in front of your face going, do I want that? Or maybe we should have a salad today because the salad with the chicken is not bad.
Yeah.
You know, and those are the kind of things you need to think about when you're kind of weighing those cost-benefit relationships. So those are the things that is one example of the kind of work that the American Heart Association does behind the scenes to make it easier for everybody to make the right choice.
That's awesome. Now I know you have a big event coming up, and it's a fundraising event, and it's a fun event, and it's the Heart Walk, and you're the chairman, so tell us about it.
It's a great event. It's one of the big key fundraisers for the American Heart Association in Southwest Missouri every year. It's going to be on April 28th.
Okay.
It's going to start at Hammons Field. I think the things get started at about 9 a.m. or so with some pre-event shows and fairs, health fairs, things like that, ways you can learn more about healthy lifestyles and choices and where you can go for help and assistance. But really the Heart Walk is where it's at because it brings together, historically it's brought close to 1,000 people every time. We're trying to up that ante here. We'd like to see more than 1,000. I'd like to see a couple thousand. If everyone could show up, we can do this. Not only are the team members there, but the survivors are there, both stroke survivors and heart survivors. I'm sponsoring, in terms of being the chairman this year, SRC is sponsoring the Heart Walk because we have an employee of ours whose child Reese is going to be our champion this year. Reese suffers with congenital heart defects, and she has her entire life. She has an attitude and a spunk that she wouldn't expect from a 7-year-old, but she is absolutely incredible, and she's had multiple heart surgeries, and unfortunately she'll face more in her life. But without, once again, the research and the work that the American Heart Association has done over the last 50 years, I'm quite sure that she wouldn't be here with us today. So we're here to celebrate Reese and to celebrate those kind of researches and not only extending life but improving the quality of life for everybody.
So you've convinced me. I would like to walk. So how do I get involved? How do I walk?
The easiest way to do it, the quickest way is to go straight to the web, swmoheartwalk.org.
All right.
You go there, there'll be all the information you need to log on, to form a team, to make a donation immediately.
Everything's right there.
Everything's right there. You'll be able to see who all the sponsors are and the kind of events that are being planned, and shortly you'll see a map with a walk on there as well.
Well, thank you so much. It's been an honor to have the American Heart Association with us today for Why It Matters, a video blog brought to you by Phoenix Home Care and Hospice, celebrating those moments in life that truly matter. Thank you.
Phoenix Home Care and Hospice. I choose Phoenix.